Hey everybody, this is James, and this is the first devlog video for this year's GamesPlusJam. I'm aiming to have one of these every day this week to keep you all updated with what I'm doing for the jam and to check in and see how everyone's doing with their games. Hopefully these videos will also give a bit of insight into how I approach jams like this one. So I started off the jam with streaming the reveal of the theme for the jam, and people seemed happy in general. It seems like people have some ideas. It's been interesting to see so far a couple of ideas being floated at me as well. And of course, if you've got a fun idea, just go for it. It's always fun to just try and do these things. For myself, I wrote some ideas down on paper. I had a few different basic game ideas. I had nothing really planned out too much, but what I settled on doing was an Olympics style game with maybe a little sillier takes on events. So then I started writing down some of my ideas in a little Photoshop file as they came to me with the rough idea of a nudely armed character. I had a few ideas for events immediately, which I quickly wrote down some basic ideas for, and then began looking at a list of Olympic sports to see what they would inspire and what different events and different takes I could have on those events. I had a few ideas that I really like the feel of, and I can always add more as they come to me if I feel like there are better ones during the week. As time went on, the ideas started getting a little more silly, but also potentially more fun. My aim will be to get as many of these events into the game as possible. I also had the idea to add some commentary into the game, which will hopefully end up being fun, although I can definitely see that becoming like a whole day of audio work in itself. We'll see how that goes. So with a whole bunch of ideas worked out, I then went on to just designing the nudely armed character that I want to have. I don't know how floppy the arms will end up being, but I like the idea of having these like thin little arms on them and a little bean character to run around as. And then I also wanted to do a quick design of the idea I had for the arena that you'll compete in. So the different events that you'll do will all take place in different areas of this arena, and I'll try and have like a crowd and stuff in the background, although that might end up just being like a flat texture of blobs of colour, but who knows, we'll see how that goes. There's always the ambition of what you want to do followed by the reality of what you can actually get done in the time of a jam. So that was it for the first night. I had been thinking of ideas kind of basically all evening and thinking about stuff, so it was time to wrap up, get some sleep, because getting sleep during a jam is really important, and get going on stuff the next day. One thing I always recommend with game jams is not to let it get too stressful and take over your life too much. Obviously, you're going to be working on this thing, so it's not going to be like a normal day, but it was time to start actually making something. What I want to get done first is a basic playable version of the game that you can go through the whole basic process of starting the game up, starting an event, and winning the event. So I wanted to start off with one of the more basic events, which was just doing a running or sprint event. The idea was, instead of just having to mash buttons on the run, you have to alternate between left and right to make the player pick up speed as they go. After a while, I decided to throw in some obstacles to jump over too, as the basic running mechanic was a little bit simplistic. Some of the ideas I'm using in this event, like having a timer and a countdown to start the event, will also be reused in the other events, so this one is obviously going to take a little longer to get up and running. But as I wrap up recording for this first devlog, I've got the core basic gameplay working for this event. Next up, I'll need to make this simple menu navigation that will allow me to start the event, and after that it'll be time to start making a model for the player. But that's all to come in the next jam devlog. And that's it for this first devlog. As I said, I'm going to try and do one of these every day during the jam. So if you have any suggestions for the game, throw them into the comments down below, and make sure and let me know how your games are progressing too, because I want to see what cool things people are working on. Thanks for watching this video. I'll be back tomorrow with more updates on the game. Keep being awesome and keep making cool things. And I'll see you all very soon.